So a new national firearms storage law has been introduced in the Senate. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think the federal government needs to stop infringing on our Second Amendment rights, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of the channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. I also want to let you know that this content is powered by the Firearms Policy Coalition. So head on over to joinfbc.org to help support the Second Amendment cause. Thank you again, Firearms Policy Coalition, for supporting this channel. So like I mentioned in the intro, a federal bill has been introduced, and this one targets actually creating some storage requirements nationwide. And this is all targeted around gun stores, firearms dealers, and other retailers. This bill is S-2908, also known as the Secure Firearm Storage Act. This bill is sponsored by Dick Durbin from Illinois, and as of right now, it has about 7 co-sponsors, and these co-sponsors include Richard Blumenthal, Edward Markey, Elizabeth Warren, Bob Casey, Tammy Duckworth, Kristen Gillibrand, and then Christopher Murphy. Now, the goal of this bill is to create overbearing storage requirements for gun stores across the US. These rules will be so strict that it will be likely very hard for most of these stores to actually adhere to them. The bill states that a person who is a licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed dealer shall keep and store each firearm in the business inventory of the licensee at the premises covered by the license. So from the outset, this bill requires all firearms be stored at the actual location of the gun store. The bill goes on to state that when the premises covered by the license are not open for business, the licensee shall, with respect to each firearm in the business's inventory of the license, 1. Secure the firearm with a hardened steel rod 1/4 inch thick through the space between the trigger guard and the frame or receiver of the firearm with a steel rod secured by a hardened steel lock that shall be shackled, the lock and shackle protected or shielded from the use of a bolt cutter, and the rod anchored to prevent the removal of the firearm from the premises. Or 2, here's your other option, store the firearm in a locked fireproof safe, locked gun cabinet, or locked vault. So for each firearm, they will have to be secured or stored in either that number 1 category or number 2 category. So every gun store nationwide will have to store all their firearms on site, and each night will have to pull all those firearms, put a rod through them, padlock them, or put them in a safe, locked cabinet, or vault. This bill also goes beyond just dictating how those specific firearms have to be stored. It also says that all these gun stores will have to store their paperwork every night in one of those ways as well. The padlock, not so much. That doesn't apply. The padlock doesn't apply to the papers, but essentially says that all this paperwork has to be put in a safe, cabinet, or locked vault. This bill also gives a lot of broad discretion to the Attorney General in the United States to make various security requirements as they see fit for every gun store nationwide. This includes requiring specific alarms and security camera systems, site hardening requirements, electronic storage requirements, and other measures as they see fit to reduce theft. Now, the punishment for a store not meeting the storage requirements is a fine up to at least $10,000 on the first offense. So that means if a gun store fails to lock up one firearm in the store that night, they can get hit with a $10,000 fine. A second violation or a second violation on the same day when they're being inspected, so essentially 2 guns not being locked up appropriately, can result in a suspension of the store's license and also those civil penalties and those fines. And a third violation or a series of violations, so essentially 3 firearms not being locked up, can result in these stores having their licenses being revoked as well as those civil penalties. To top off everything, this bill also only gives gun stores nationwide a year after this bill is passed to meet all these requirements. So they're going to have to ramp up really quick if this bill is passed and implement all of these new changes that the federal government now says they have to follow. This bill claims to be about community safety and keeping illegal firearms off the streets, but this bill will achieve absolutely none of that. As we all know, a vast majority of those illegal firearms out on the streets do not come from gun stores. They're not being stolen from gun stores. There may be some, but a majority just don't come through that means. This bill is really looking for a way to shut down gun stores through costly and overbearing regulations. That is really the goal of this. Because if the ATF can shut down a store for not locking up 3 firearms, that means one less gun store out there for law-abiding citizens to have access to. So just imagine you're this business owner, you've built this gun store, this is your business, You rely on it for your livelihood. Your family relies on it for their livelihood. And then all of a sudden, through one inspection, because of this bill, you maybe fail to lock up 3 guns that night. Maybe you have like hundreds and hundreds in your inventory, but maybe just 3 are not locked up the way the ATF wants. And then all of a sudden you lose your license, it's revoked, and your business is completely shut down. And essentially that's what this bill is all about. It's about creating a way to shut down more gun stores. So instead of them going directly after all the people to try to prevent us from purchasing firearms, they're creating a mechanism to shut down stores, which will ultimately meet their goal of preventing us from being able to buy, because you can't buy firearms if there's no stores out there. You have no FFLs. How are you going to get access to these firearms? Pretty much in other states, maybe you just have the private party option, but I can guess that you would agree it's not good for a ton of gun stores to be shut down for something so arbitrary as this. So we definitely need to oppose this bill. I highly recommend you guys reach out to your local representatives in the Senate and the House. Let them know you do not agree with this. You do not agree with this backdoor attack on our Second Amendment rights, and that this bill will do absolutely nothing in meeting that claimed goal of creating community safety. This is just a way for them to shut down gun stores. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos, in this type of two-way news, and then it helps push it to more people. So thank you so much to everybody who's liked, commented, subscribed, who's hit the notification bell. You guys are impacting these videos, you're impacting this channel. You guys are definitely helping this channel grow. Over this last year, I've grown more than I could have ever imagined, and that's because of you guys who watch these videos, like, comment, and subscribe. So thank you so much. And if you don't have a comment in mind, just comment down below as your comment to fuel the algorithm, and that really does help these videos. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget that this is built by armed scholars and stationally maintained by armed scholars.